Good morning, gorgeous people, and welcome to lesson 135. Let's arrive here fully. Let's rub the hands together, create a little bit of heat or tapas. Gently rub the face, bring your hands down to your heart. Take a long, deep breath in. Exhale. We begin this day in gratitude. We open our hearts and we surrender to love. We ask love to lead the way through the minutes and the hours of this new day. We welcome joy, fun, and abundant prosperity. We recognize that all encounters are wholesome and that all experiences can be met with a peaceful heart that is anchored in the truth, that we are one, that we are love, and that we are free. And so we release these words and we let it be. So into lesson 135, a very interesting lesson and one of the longest lessons in the book. So buckle up, settle in. This is, if I defend myself, I am attacked. So it might take you a little bit of time to get your head around this one, but bear with me, stay present, stay attentive, and you will get it in time. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Who would defend themselves unless they thought they were attacked, that attack were real, and that their own defense could save themselves? And herein lies the folly of defense. It gives illusions full reality and then attempts to handle them as real. It adds illusions to illusions, thus making correction doubly difficult. And it is this you do when you attempt to plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as you wish. So trying to plan or organize is seen as a defense. So if you think about what we mean when we say we surrender into love every day and we ask love to lead the way, it's that we're in this real place of trust and of life unfolding, and that the universe has got our backs, and that, you know, we're going to fall into God's plan or what love desires for us. And that really calls for surrender and needs no defense. Okay, so as soon as we start to put in defenses or schemes or organize things, then there is a belief that we're being attacked. Now, bear with me, okay? And the other thing I'd like to say about this, when we talk about not making plans, it's like not having your own agenda and being really attached to it. It doesn't mean you can't book your holiday, but the suggestion would be that you book your holiday, you put the date in the diary, and then you come back to the moment and you live in the moment. You don't live in anticipation of the holiday and planning every microsecond of the holiday, leaving no room for flow and for God's plan. Because that also is full of expectation, which can lead to a lot of disappointment. You operate from the belief that you must protect yourself from what is happening because it must contain what threatens you. So we leave very little just to chance. A sense of threat is an acknowledgement of an inherent weakness, a belief that there is danger, which has a power. Sorry, I missed a bit there. You operate from the belief that you must protect yourself from what is happening because it must contain what threatens you. A sense of threat is an acknowledgement of an inherent weakness, a belief that there is a danger which has a power to force you to make a justified defense. The world is based on this insane belief. So, you know, think about this idea that we must protect ourselves at all times, that we must have all these heavy boundaries around us. There's no trust in that. So all its structures, all its thoughts and doubts, its penalties and heavy armaments, difficult word, its legal definitions and its codes, its ethics and its leaders and its gods, all serve but to preserve its sense of threat. For no one walks the world in armature, but must have terror striking at his heart. So that for me is sort of the key line that that pulls this together, those two paragraphs together. For no one walks the world in armature. So none of us walk around with these defenses, with this shields over our hearts, with these swords at the ready, unless we have terror striking at our heart, unless we believe we're in danger, we wouldn't feel the need to armor up. So there is some part of us that believes we're in danger of being attacked at all times. And you often hear people who might have been in a relationship and gotten hurt saying, you know, I'm never going to allow myself to be that vulnerable again. So in other words, really, they're saying, I can never surrender into love again because I was hurt once. So now I've got this suit of armor on and it's very difficult. And in our humanness and in our human condition, there is no judgment on that. You know, there is no room for judging this. This is how we get shaped and formed through our experiences. However, we're here because we're recognizing on a level that hasn't served us. And so we're looking for something different. But I always want to, I guess, put it out there how important it is to feel your feelings. So this isn't about dismissing your feelings. Your feelings are valid and they're there for a reason. But this is knowing that you can go beyond them as well. You can feel them, and usually it's by feeling them fully that you get to go beyond them. So I just want to stress that. Defense is frightening. It stems from fear, increasing fear as each defense is made. So if you think about it, if you feel that you have to have a gun in your home, you know, that you have to have protection, sleep with a baseball bat beside you, that's kind of frightening, you know? So you go to bed in fear every night because you have to have this protection beside you just in case something happens. You think it offers safety, yet it speaks of fear made real and terror justified, because you're watching the news and you're saying, okay, all this is very real. I need to protect myself. Or I've been very hurt in relationships. I need to protect myself. You've been hurt in your childhood. You feel a need to protect yourself. Is it not strange you do not pause to ask, as you elaborate your plans and make your armour thicker and your locks more tight, what you defend and how and against what? So really getting real about your belief system, about your trust in God, about your trust in love, about your trust in the universe. And we do make our armour thicker and our locks more tight. You know, and never before have I seen so many gates in, you know, houses, big, huge gates. And again, no judgment. This isn't about going, oh my God, you've got gates on your house. You must be living in fear. It's not about that, but it is about starting to ask the questions. Do I live in fear? And if I do live in fear, how does it show up in my life? How come I live in fear and what can I do about it? So let us consider first what you defend. It must be something that is very weak and easily assaulted, because otherwise it wouldn't need your defense. It must be something made easy prey, unable to protect itself and needing your defense. What but the body has such frailty that constant care and watchful, deep concern are needful to protect its little life? What but the body falters and must fail to serve the child of God as worthy host? Yet it is not the body that can fear, nor be a thing of fear. It has no needs but those which you assign to it. So the body itself, unless you assign needs to it, it's not a very complicated thing. It needs no complicated structures of defense, no health-inducing medicine, no care and no concern at all. Defend its life, or give it gifts to make it beautiful, or walls to make it safe. And you say, your home is open to the thief of time, corruptible, crumbling, so unsafe, it must be guarded with your very life. Is not this picture fearful? Can you be at peace with such a concept of your home? Yet what endowed the body with the right to serve you thus except your own belief? It is your mind which gave the body all the functions that you see in it and set its value, this is important, and set its value far beyond a little pile of dust and water. Who would make defense of something that they recognized as this? So if you recognize the temporal nature of the body, you would not feel the need to defend it. And at all times during this course, we're asked to place our emphasis on the spirit that is our true nature, that is housed for now in the temple of the body. And I do say, it doesn't say this in this course, but many of my previous teachers would say the body temple. And I do believe it is a temple. And I do believe it needs just food and water and to be taken care of. But that needs very, very little thought when everything else is in place. You just naturally take care of the body. Whereas what we tend to do is absolutely obsess about the body and over-identify with the body and spend an awful lot of time trying to protect the body. And that's what this lesson is really coming to. The body is in need of no defense. This cannot be too often emphasized. It will be strong and healthy if the body does not abuse it by assigning it to roles it cannot fill, to purposes beyond scope, and to exalted aims which it cannot accomplish. Such attempts, ridiculous yet deeply cherished, are the sources for the many mad attacks you make upon it. For it seems to fail your hopes, your needs, your values, and your dreams. So think about how often you berate yourself, and it's all in relation to this body. And I don't just mean the physical form of the body, but just identifying with the self as the body. And, you know, if you're anything like me, your inner critic has a field day at times in relation to the form of the body as well as all the things that the body does. So the self that needs protection is not real. This time we're looking at small self in inverted commas, not the large self, which is our true selves with a capital S. The body, valueless and hardly worth the least defense, need merely be perceived as quite apart from you, and it becomes a healthy, serviceable instrument through which the mind can operate until its usefulness is over. Who would want to keep it when its usefulness is done? So this body allows us to experience the physical form, allows us to feel the world in the physical. And so for that, we can be really, really grateful. We get to hug one another. We get to shake hands. We get to taste Coca-Cola or pizza or whatever it is that takes your fancy. But that's all it does. It is not who we are. And this will be stressed over and over again in the course. And it's so beautiful when you start to drop that identification with the body. You start to become really free, and your sort of wild, sweet nature starts to come to the forefront. So defend the body and you have attacked your mind. For you must have seen in it the faults, the weaknesses, the limits, the lacks, from which you think the body must be saved. You will not see the mind as separate from the bodily conditions, and you will impose upon the body all the pain that comes from the conception of the mind as limited and fragile, apart from other minds and separate from its source. So this is reminding us that we are limitless beings of light. There is no degree of separation between us and others and us and our source. So really getting our heads around oneness. And this can take time, and this is why we repeat a lot of this stuff. These are the thoughts in need of healing, and the body will respond with health when they have been corrected and replaced with truth. This is the body's only real defense. Yet is this where you look for its defense. You offer it protection of a kind from which it gains no benefit at all, but merely adds to your distress of mind. You do not heal, but merely take away the hope of healing, for you fail to see where hope must lie if it is meaningful. And again, this is really important. A healed mind doesn't plan. I repeat that. A healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plans that it receives through listening to the wisdom that is not its own. So it's the wisdom of the divine mind. It waits until it has been taught what should be done and then proceeds to do it. It does not depend upon itself for anything except its adequacy to fulfill the plans assigned to it. It is secure in certainty that obstacles cannot impede its progress to accomplishment of any goal that serves the greater plan established for the good of everyone. So really, really interesting way of looking at things. Very, very different than the way the majority of the world thinks. A healed mind does not plan. So what a healed mind does is what it needs to do on a need-to-know basis, directed by divine inner wisdom. So back to our prayer, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say and to whom? Consulting with Spirit all the time as to what's for the highest good of you and of all. Okay, a healed mind is relieved of the belief that it must plan. Remember, we're used to controlling every microsecond. Many people live completely believing they need to control everything around them. And I have been there. So a healed mind is relieved of the belief that it must plan, although it cannot know the outcome which is best, the means by which it is achieved, nor how to recognize the problem that the plan is made to solve. This mind must misuse the body in its plans until it recognizes this is so. But when it has accepted this as true, then the mind is healed and lets the body go. Enslavement of the body to the plans the unhealed mind sets up to save itself must make the body sick. It is not free to be the means of helping in a plan which far exceeds its own protection and which needs its service for a little while. In this capacity, health is assured. For everything the mind employs for this will function flawlessly, and with the strength that has been given, it cannot fail. It is perhaps not easy to perceive that self-initiated plans are defenses. So again, it's us trying to manage things with the purpose all of them were made to realize. So sometimes, because we feel threatened by the world, we want to know what's around every single corner. We want to cover all bases and all angles, which blocks the flow of God. They are the means by which the frightened mind would undertake its own protection at the cost of truth. And this is not difficult to realize in some forms which these self-deceptions take, where the denial of reality is very obvious. Yet planning is not often recognized as a defense. And unless you're around somebody who's really, really controlling, or unless you've kind of recognized that you're really controlling and that you tend to micromanage, you won't see this so easily, just as it's saying there. But there have definitely been times in my life where I've been really trying to manage something because I don't want to leave it to chance, because I'm afraid, because I don't know what chance is going to bring. But really, there is no chance. The universe is looking after you, but you get in the way and you block it. So the mind engaged in planning for itself is occupied in setting up control of future happenings. It does not think that it will be provided for unless it makes its own provisions. So here's the piece about trusting in God. Time becomes a future emphasis to be controlled by learning and experience obtained from past events and previous beliefs. The mind overlooks the present, for it rests on the idea the past has taught enough to let the mind direct its future course. The mind that plans is thus refusing to allow for change. What it has learned before becomes the basis for its future goals. Its past experience directs its choices of what will happen, and it does not see that here and now is everything it needs to guarantee a future quite unlike the past. Without a continuity of old ideas and sick beliefs, anticipation plays no part at all, for present confidence directs the way. So if we could trust in the now, if we could be here now and stay here now, we wouldn't need all these great plans. Defenses are the plans you undertake to make against the truth. Their aim is to select what you approve, so the things that you think are okay and are good and are going to serve you well, and disregard what you consider incompatible with your beliefs or your reality. Yet what remains is meaningless indeed, for it is your reality that is the threat which your defenses would attack, obscure, and take apart and crucify. What could you not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? Now, this is a really, really beautiful reminder. Like, what would you not accept? Wouldn't you just allow everything to flow if you truly believed that your past, your present, and the future are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? Perhaps you have misunderstood the Holy Spirit's plan, for it would never offer pain to you. But your defenses did not let you see its loving blessing shine in every step you ever took. While you made plans for death, the Holy Spirit waited to lead you gently to eternal life. Your present trust in the Holy Spirit is the guarantee that promises a future undisturbed, without a trace of sorrow, and with joy that constantly increases as this life becomes a holy instant. Where are we? In time, but heeding only immortality. Let no defenses and only your present trust direct the future, that this life becomes a meaningful encounter with the truth that only your defenses could conceal. Without defenses, you become a light, which heaven gratefully acknowledges to be its own, and it will lead you on in ways appointed for your happiness according to the ancient plan begun when time was born. Your followers will join their light with yours, and it will be increased until the world is lighted up with peace and happiness. And gladly will all others lay aside their cumbersome defenses, which avail them nothing and could only terrify. We will anticipate that time today with present confidence, for this is part of what was planned for us, and we will be sure that everything we need is given us for our accomplishment of this today. We make no plans for how it will be done, but realize that our defenselessness is all that is required for the truth to dawn upon our minds with certainty. So we're really asked now to put down all armor and to recognize that we do not need to protect our hearts. We do not need to have any blocks or barricades to love. That we truly can, as we say every morning, let love lead the way. It's so beautiful because if you think about the weight of, if you imagine like that you were literally holding a big sword and having a big shield in front of you, and the burden of that. and living with that fear that something is going to go wrong all the time. And this lesson is all about saying, no, nothing is going to go wrong. Trust in me. Put down your sword, put down your shield. I'm here for you. For 15 minutes twice today, we rest from the senseless planning and from every thought that blocks the truth from entering our minds. Today we will receive instead of plan, that we may give instead of organize. And we are given truly, as we say. If I defend myself, I am attacked. But in defenselessness, I will be strong, because in defenselessness, we're trusting in our strength, which is one with God. And I will learn what my defenses hide. So you learn the love that you are when you come out of that defending place. Nothing but that. If there are plans to make, you will be told of them. They may not be the plans you thought were needed, nor indeed the answers to the problems which you thought confronted you, but they are the answers to another kind of question, which remains unanswered yet in need of answering until the answer comes to you at last. So I think we'll sit with this for a moment or two and then come back to the last bit of the lesson. So let's just close our eyes down and be truly present to this idea that I do not need to defend myself. The only reason I would defend myself is if I believe I can be attacked, and that I am being attacked, and attack is out there. And that there's this lack of trust in the universe. So just dropping into that. And we're calling now to know our true strength. To recognize we don't need any armor. Recognizing that you're really being invited to live in the mystery. And as the lesson says, to trust that everything is being gently laid out for you. You will know step by step, you'll be given instructions as to what you need to do. All in divine and perfect time. Gently making your way back. All of your defenses have been aimed at not receiving what you will receive today. And in the light and joy of simple trust, you will wonder why you ever thought that you must be defended from release. Heaven asks nothing. It is hell that makes extravagant demands for sacrifice. You give up nothing in these times today when undefended you present yourself to your Creator as you really are. It's like, coming naked to a lover for the first time. There's that feeling of vulnerability, and in truth, you're completely invulnerable in that state without all that armor. feels vulnerable, but you're really being free and presenting yourself. It's a really beautiful way to come forward. And I think Brene Brown is her name, she did a beautiful TV show. It's on Netflix. I can't think of the name of it now. But it's sort of all about this, about dropping all those defenses and just coming, as you are. It's that song, Come As You Are. So come to God as you are. God has remembered you. Today we will remember God. For this is resurrection time in your salvation. And you rise again from what was seeming death and hopelessness. Now is the light of the hope reborn in you. For now you come without defense to learn the part for you within the plan of God. What little plans or magical beliefs can still have value when you have received your function from the voice for God? Try not to shape this day as you believe would benefit you most, because again, you'd be getting into planning. For you cannot conceive of all the happiness that comes to you without your planning. Learn today, and all the world will take this giant stride and celebrate your resurrection time with you. Throughout the day, as foolish little things appear to raise defensiveness in you, tempt you to engage in weaving plans. Remind yourself that this is a special day for learning and acknowledge it with this. This is my resurrection time, and I in holiness will not defend myself, because the child of God needs no defense against the truth of its reality. Really beautiful. I hope you enjoy practicing and trust that if you're not fully getting this, you will as time goes on. And from my heart to yours, have a wonderful day. Take care.